What is going on, guys? Records are made to be broken, they say. That may be true, but for the sake of avoiding further humiliation, some active NFL quarterbacks are certainly cheering for some of their own records to end soon, because quite frankly, there are some embarrassing records that nobody wants to hold. Here are 10 of the very worst records held by active NFL quarterbacks. Number 10, Jared Goff. Worst college record for a number 1 overall pick. A wise man once said, "You are what your record says you are." Well, Jared Goff is an exception. His college record at California was a disappointing 14-23, but that wasn't really on him. He did everything he could on a very flawed Golden Bears squad. The Los Angeles Rams knew this, and they chose Goff with the first overall pick in 2016 over the equally highly touted Carson Wentz. Right after he went first overall, Goff put himself in the history books. His 14-23 college record is the worst ever for an NFL quarterback, taken with the first overall pick. Before him, it was Steve Barkowski, the first overall pick of the Atlanta Falcons in 1975. Barkowski won 8-13-1 for a .386 winning percentage, slightly higher than Goff's .378. Of course, things have gone a lot smoother for Goff at the NFL level compared to his time at California. So no, you aren't always what your record says you are. Number 9, Joe Flacco tied fewest passing yards in a playoff win. There are so many cliches you can throw here. The great Bill Belichick once said, "Stats are for losers," or you can go with the good old "a win is a win." Whatever. We're sure Joe Flacco had both of those cliches on his mind after his Baltimore Ravens crushed the New England Patriots 33-14 on the road in the AFC wildcard round. Flacco was playing through a bruised right quad in this game. Head coach John Harbaugh constructed a savvy game plan in which they would continuously run the ball down the Patriots' throats, rather than put their starting QB at risk. Flacco completed just 4 of 10 pass attempts for 34 yards. One of those attempts was an interception, but luckily for Joe, he was never in a position where he had to throw much. That's because the Ravens racked up 234 rushing yards. All 4 of their touchdowns came on the ground. Of course, it helped that Tom Brady threw 2 interceptions and lost 1 fumble in the first quarter alone, which helped the Ravens build an early 24-0 lead. Flacco's 34 yards through the air tied Bob Grease's record of the fewest passing yards by a quarterback in the playoff win. Grease had the same total in the 1973 AFC Championship game, whereas Miami Dolphins soundly defeated Ken Stabler's Oakland Raiders by a final score of 27-10. In that game, Grease completed only 3 of 6 pass attempts, with 0 touchdowns and 1 interception. It's hard to imagine any active quarterbacks coming close to this record. In this day and age, if your starting QB only puts up 34 passing yards in a playoff game, he either got injured or got pulled. Trust us, it'll be a while, maybe even forever, before another quarterback wins a postseason game with just 34 passing yards. Number 8, Ben Roethlisberger. Lowest passer rating for a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Roethlisberger guided the Steelers to a league-best 15-1 record in his 2004 rookie season, but they were throttled by the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. That's okay, because the Steelers took care of unfinished business in his 2005 sophomore year. Pittsburgh caught fire as a wild-card team, defeating the Cincinnati Bengals, Indianapolis Colts, and Denver Broncos on the road to punch a ticket to Super Bowl 40, where they met the Matt Hasselbeck and Sean Alexander-led Seattle Seahawks. With all due respect to Big Ben, the Steelers were carried in this game by their powerful rushing attack and stingy defense that only allowed 16.1 points per game in the regular season. We won't sugarcoat it. Roethlisberger simply wasn't good at all. He completed only 9 of 21 pass attempts for 123 yards and 0 touchdowns. He threw 2 interceptions, including 1 in the red zone during the third quarter that brought Seattle right back into the game. But Roethlisberger's 1-yard rushing touchdown, Willie Parker's 75-yard score, and Antoine Randall L's iconic trick play touchdown pass to Hines Ward were all the Steelers needed. Their defense took care of the rest, limiting Seattle to just 10 points in a 21-10 victory. Roethlisberger finished the game with an ugly 22.6 passer rating, the worst ever for a Super Bowl winning quarterback. But like we said, a win's a win. We're sure he didn't fret his performance at all. Number 7, Matthew Stafford, only quarterback with 40,000 passing yards and 0 playoff wins. At the end of the 2010s decade, Detroit Lions star Matthew Stafford stood as one of the only 22 quarterbacks with 40,000 career passing yards. That's obviously elite company, but Stafford, in a way, is a bit of an outcast among the 40,000-yard club. Why? Because Stafford, of course, has yet to win a single playoff game in his career. Every other quarterback to reach that milestone has at least 1 playoff win in their careers. Here's the full list, courtesy of Pro Football Reference. As you can see, several Super Bowl champions and MVP quarterbacks are on this list. Carson Palmer won the lone playoff game of his career in the 2015 NFC Divisional Round against the Green Bay Packers as a member of the Cardinals, which means that Stafford is the only 40,000 club member without a playoff win. Will that change? To be determined. Number 6, Jameis Winston. Only 30-30 season in NFL history. when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hired well-known quarterbacks whisperer Bruce Arians as their head coach. His number one job was simple: fix Jameis Winston. The first overall pick of the 2015 draft had major ball control woes, tossing double-digit interceptions in each of his first 4 seasons. Unfortunately, things didn't really get that much better under Arians. Sure, Winston did lead the NFL with 5,109 passing yards in 2019, and he tossed a career-high 33 touchdown passes. But Arians' no-risk-it, no-biscuit philosophy also hurt Winston, as he tossed a league-leading 30 interceptions to go along with those passing yards and touchdowns. In the Buccaneers' Week 17 regular season finale against the Atlanta Falcons, Winston's season fittingly ended with a pick-6 to Deion Jones. With that, Winston became the first quarterback to toss at least 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions in a season. Arians and the Bucs ultimately decided that the bad outweighed the good, and they chose against re-signing Winston, replacing him with New England Patriots icon Tom Brady in free agency. Number 5, Nathan Peterman, tied most interceptions thrown in NFL debut. Even though the Buffalo Bills had a respectable 5-4 record entering Week 11 of the 2017 season, head coach Sean McDermott grew frustrated with Tyrod Taylor's performance, so he decided to sit Taylor and start little-known rookie Nathan Peterman for the team's road tilt against the Los Angeles Chargers. It seemed like a bad idea at the time, since Peterman was obviously inexperienced and totally unproven. And well, it turned out to be one of the worst coaching decisions we've ever seen. Peterman threw a ridiculous 5 interceptions in the first half against the Chargers' stingy secondary. That tied the record for the most picks thrown by a quarterback in his NFL debut. Peterman was mercifully pulled, and Taylor was reinstated in the second half. Else things could have gotten even uglier for the former Bills QB. Probably would have. Number 4, Andy Dalton, tied most consecutive opening round playoff losses. Cincinnati Bengals fans needn't a reminder about Andy Dalton's frustrating performance in the postseason. He took this team to the playoffs every year from 2011 to 15, but they went one and done in the AFC wildcard round each time. Dalton and the Bengals were eliminated by the Houston Texans in the 2011 and 2012 AFC wildcard rounds. A year later, the AFC North champions were embarrassed by Phillip Rivers and the San Diego Chargers at home. With that, Dalton now had 3 straight opening round losses as a starting quarterback. The Bengals claimed their 4th straight playoff berth in 2014, earning the top wildcard spot with a 10-5-1 record. But they were no match for Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts, who soundly beat them 26-10. With that, Dalton joined some not-so-great company, tying Warren Moon's record of 4 straight opening round playoff defeats as a starting quarterback. Dalton was enjoying his best season as a pro in 2015, one in which the Bengals went 12-4 to claim the AFC North Division crown. He unfortunately suffered a thumb injury in Week 14, which abruptly ended his season. Backup A.J. McCarron nearly led the Bengals to a victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers in the wildcard round, but they lost on a late field goal. If Dalton was available for that contest, he would have ended his humiliating streak or surpassed Moon as the all-time leader for most consecutive opening round losses. I guess we'll never know. Number 3, Matt Schaub, most consecutive games with a pick-6. After helping his team win back-to-back AFC South Division titles in 2011 and 2012, expectations were naturally higher for Matt Schaub and the Houston Texans in 2013. They won their first 2 games of the season before the wheels came off. Schaub suddenly became the ultimate turnover machine the rest of the way. He threw a pick-6 in an ugly 30-9 blowout road loss to the Baltimore Ravens. A week later, he threw a pick-6 to Richard Sherman in an eventual overtime road loss to the Seattle Seahawks. And it doesn't end there. Schaub and the Texans then visited the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday Night Football in Week 5. Schaub tossed a pick-6 to Tremaine Brock in the first quarter en route to an ugly 34-3 loss. For good measure, Schaub continued the streak by throwing another pick-6 to Alec Ogletree the following week in a 38-13 home loss to the St. Louis Rams. With that, Schaub set a rather sad NFL record, with 4 consecutive games with a pick-6. He was benched the following week in favor of Case Keenum, mercifully ending his infamous streak. Number 2, Jameis Winston, most pick-6s in a season. Going back to Winston's 2019 season here, not only did he perform the very first 30 TD, 30 interception season, Winston also set a somewhat impressive record by throwing 7 pick-6s in 2019. That broke the previous record that was shared by Rudy Bukic and Peyton Manning, who each tossed 6 in 1965 and 2001 respectively. Throwing multiple pick-6s in a single season is hard enough. Throwing one essentially every second game, that's a record you definitely don't want to own. Number 1, Kirk Cousins, worst record on Monday Night Football. Minnesota Vikings fans and Kirk Cousins are sick and tired of hearing about his horrendous record against winning teams. They get it. He hasn't been good against top-tier competition. Of course, Cousins can't take all the blame. Most of his prime was wasted on a woeful Washington team, and the Vikings failed to construct a good offensive system around him in 2018. Cousins had a strong turnaround season in 2019, though, helping the Vikings to the postseason and guiding them to a shocking road win over the New Orleans Saints in the wildcard round. Unfortunately, Cousins also set an embarrassing record during the 2019 campaign. His Vikings fell to the Seattle Seahawks in a Week 13 Monday Night Football tilt. 3 weeks later, Minnesota fell at home to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football. With the loss, Cousins' career Monday night record fell to 0-9. The worst ever for a quarterback. It's really hard to imagine someone possibly losing that many Monday Nighters in a row. So Cousins better get on some form of winning streak here in order to rid himself of this humiliating record. What other embarrassing records are held by active NFL quarterbacks? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We are on everything, Twitter. Go find us, go subscribe, go do the whole thing. Of course, if you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click down below, and subscribe to TPS. We post videos every day. Every day's a new video. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
My knee.